Hey guys, it's me, Schlee. Welcome back for another budget challenge. This lovely gray building behind me is Lidl. I decided to try and do another challenge here. Y'all seem to like the last one. My goal today is to stay under $35, so that's going to be $5 or less per day for a whole week of food. I have a stellar meal plan in mind, if I do say so myself, so I'm going to try and get everything on my list today and make these meals happen. Of course, I'm gonna look for deals, gonna look for specials, all that kind of stuff, but I'm gonna try and stick to my meal plan as much as possible for this one. I think that's about all I have to say. I'm just excited to get in here. It is a little rainy today, so I'm gonna run in and run out with my groceries and hopefully not get soaking wet. Wish me luck. This red onion looks like an eggplant. How cute is that? Okay guys, I have completed my run to Lidl. I think I did great personally. I did go slightly over budget. I ended up at $35.18 and I'll explain that in a minute here when I do the haul and show you the receipt and everything. I'm really happy with everything I got and I think these meals are gonna be awesome. So let me get home, avoid the rain, and I will show you everything I bought. Here we go guys, this is everything I bought from Lidl today. Let me take you around and give you the grand tour. Over here I have 2 lemons as well as 2 cucumbers. These are English cucumbers. I think they taste the best. I got some M&Ms. I'll tell you about those. Here we have a loaf of honey wheat bread, a bag of frozen strawberries, 4 tomatoes on the vine, 3 very large and oddly shaped sweet potatoes, a bag of frozen Brussels sprouts, some whole milk Greek yogurt, just plain, no flavoring, a pack of chicken breast, a turkey breast tenderloin, and some feta cheese crumbles. So with all of this, I ended up spending $35.18. Here's the receipt for anybody who wants to see it. As you can see, it was the sales tax that put me over. If you live in a place without sales tax on food, you probably wouldn't have this problem. A couple other things to note. That I could not find a smaller pack of chicken breast to buy. I didn't want to spend $8.48 on this. I think it's still a good deal, but I didn't want this much chicken. But this was the smallest pack they had, so it's what I had to go with. Gotta go with the flow sometimes in these challenges. Everything else though, pretty much fine. I wasn't able to weigh the sweet potatoes out because the produce scale wasn't working at the Lidl I was at, but that's okay. They were still a good deal. And everything else was right on the money, no pun intended, for the price I wanted to pay. And I think I did really well, especially because I didn't get anything processed. I really wanted to do a fresh, whole food type of meal plan this week. And aside from the bread, I think I'm gonna manage to do that, which makes me really happy. The meal plan is going to be for breakfast, yogurt toast with some frozen berries. I might make those into a jam. Lunch is gonna be a marinated Greek chicken breast with a cucumber salad on the side. And then dinner is going to be roasted turkey breast tenderloin with Brussels sprouts and sweet potato fries or sweet potato mash. I might mix that up, we'll see. And the mini M&Ms, I had a free coupon to get a tube of these because my birthday's coming up and Lidl gave me a coupon for these, so I thought I'd use them in this challenge and just throw them in as a fun treat. I do like mini M&Ms, they taste better than regular sized M&Ms. All right, so that is everything I bought. Let's go ahead and start cooking. Okay guys, as usual, I forgot that before we start cooking, I actually need to talk about pantry staples. For this set of meals, you'll only need a few things from your pantry, namely some olive oil, various herbs and spices, as well as some vanilla extract. And optionally, you can add in some eggs if you have them on hand or if you have the money to buy them. By the way, I hope you appreciate the Valentine's theme I went with for this video. I wasn't sure when this was going to be published, but I wanted to make sure and give you guys some love because of course I love each and every one of you and I wish you a very happy Valentine's Day. Let's get started with our breakfast, which is going to be yogurt toast, also known as custard toast. I had never tried this before, so I was very eager to see how it came out in this recipe here. I'm starting off with 2 slices of the bread I bought, and using a spoon, I am just pushing down the center of this bread to make 2 wells, essentially, that I'm going to fill with the custard that I'll be making here in a moment. And you want to press this down pretty flat, but be careful not to tear through the bread, otherwise your custard will run out when you go to fill the divots in the bread. The custard itself is very simple. I did have eggs on hand, so I cracked 1 egg into my bowl, and I added about 3 tablespoons of that Greek yogurt that I bought at the store. I will include an option for a recipe that does not require eggs if you don't have them or you don't want to use them. I added in a splash of vanilla extract and a pinch of salt as well before mixing this up. A quick note, you do want to make sure this is very smooth when you mix it. You don't want any lumps because it's going to make the texture of your custard strange, so be sure and whisk this or mix it until it's nice and smooth. Then you're going to fill those previously formed divots in your bread with that custard. Make sure it's as even as possible, and you'll see in a moment here I am going to spread that to the edges of the bread. If you have extra custard like I did here, save that for the next day when you make your breakfast again. There's no need to waste that. And there I am just moving that around to the edges, making sure everything is nicely filled. And after that, all I had to do was bake it in a 400-degree oven for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then it came out looking like this. I think it looks great, personally. It looks like cartoon yogurt toast. It's so cute, and for my first try, I think it looks really good. I did top this with a very simple homemade strawberry reduction that I made just by cooking down those frozen strawberries on the stove and mashing them up once they were soft. I didn't add any sugar, I didn't add any extra seasonings to it. You could add a squeeze of lemon juice and some extra sugar if you have it on hand, but I did not want to deviate from my shopping list too much. So I'm spreading that mixture out on the toast, and I think the colors in this one are so bright and fun as well. You've got that beautiful pale yellow and those rich red strawberries. It's very enticing to look at. And here I go for the all-important taste test. I will be honest, this was good, but a little bit of sugar in that custard mix or some maple syrup drizzled over the top would have made a world of difference and really brought this up a notch. So if you have that, I definitely recommend adding that in or even dusting some powdered sugar on top of it. But for my first time making and trying this, I thought it was really good. And for an easy, delicious breakfast, you really can't go wrong with this. Moving on to lunch, we are going to be having Greek marinated chicken and a cucumber salad. I'll start off by making the marinade for my chicken. To this olive oil, I'm adding some garlic powder, as well as several different herbs and spices. There's some oregano in there. I'm also adding some paprika. This is mainly just for color, not as much for flavor. That is followed by a healthy pinch of parsley and some lemon juice. I did use the juice from this entire lemon. If you had a bigger lemon, you may not need to use the whole thing, or if you're not as big of a fan of lemon juice, you will want to cut this down. But I did end up using this whole lemon, and I didn't bother to separate out the seeds because I wasn't going to be cooking the marinade. I was just careful not to get any seeds on the pieces of chicken I was actually cooking later on. So once I had everything in my dish, I just gave it a really good stir to make sure everything was mixed up as well as possible. And you can probably guess the next step is going to be adding the star of the show, the chicken, into this marinade. I started off with 1 chicken breast, and this is going to be 2 servings worth of this meal. Y'all know I love to do more than 1 serving at a time to save time and money. And with a spoon, I'm drizzling the marinade over the whole chicken breast to make sure it's all coated, and this will really help infuse the flavor with the whole chicken breast. You don't want any flavorless chicken. Not very good. And after that, all that you need to do is pop it in the fridge and leave it for about 2 hours, no more than that. Oh, and I forgot to mention, as always, the recipes I used or was inspired by will be down below, so you can reference those. Now let's fix our cucumber salad. This is pretty simple. It's basically just chopping up different vegetables and adding them into a container for later use. I really liked this meal because it was pretty hands-off. After setting the chicken to marinate and then chopping up the vegetables, you really didn't have to do anything until it was time to bake the chicken, which is super helpful. So I used half a cucumber here. I chopped that up and put it in my bowl there. And then I moved on to chopping up a tomato. This tomato specifically was so good and ripe. It was a tomato on the vine, which is my favorite to get. I think they have the best flavor, even in the winter right now. Our next ingredient here is some onion. The recipe that I saw did mention using red onion, but the Lidl I went to only had them in a 2-pound bag, and I did not need that many red onions, but I did have white onions at home, so I'm just making use of this. You could leave this out if you wanted to, but it does add nice flavor to the dish. So here I'm dicing my onion very fine because I didn't want big pieces of onion in there, and you can see here I cut it up very small. This way you get the onion flavor, but you won't get any overpowering chunks. Then, similar to the marinade, all you need to do is mix this up. I'm just using the knife I had from before, so I don't have to waste any dishes. Just mix it up, and then it can sit in the fridge until you are ready to eat, pretty much. And the next thing I'm mixing up is our oil and vinegar dressing to go on that cucumber salad. This could not be simpler. Just olive oil, vinegar, salt, and pepper. Just mix that up, season to your liking, and you're done. That's your dressing for your cucumber salad. And now the last thing we are mixing up for this meal is our tzatziki sauce for our chicken. This is just to have on the side as a dip, essentially. So I've got several spoonfuls of my Greek yogurt here, and to that I'm adding some olive oil. You'll notice that I use a lot of the same ingredients, but I try to vary how they're used to vary the flavors in the meals themselves. I added some garlic powder to that, as well as a very healthy pinch of dill. Dill gives this sauce its flavor. I did also add a healthy splash of vinegar and a good pinch of salt. Then you can guess, I just need to mix this up, and aside from that, it is done. It can just sit and marinate while you marinate the chicken as well. That's going to help the flavors to marry together, and it'll give you a really nice, refreshing sauce for your chicken. Here is the chicken after it marinated for about 2 hours. I'm going to put it in a casserole dish after I make sure it is still well coated in that sauce, or in that marinade rather. I'm just going to cover my dish with foil, bake it according to the recipe instructions, and then it is time to serve our lunch. So the first thing we're going to be plating up here is our cucumber salad. Just a few nice healthy spoonfuls of that. And I must say, this whole recipe would be so delicious and refreshing on a summer day. Of course, it's winter when I'm serving this, but I can definitely see this being something I would love to make again in the summertime. Then I'm dressing my salad with a spoonful of my homemade oil and vinegar dressing. And did you forget about those feta crumbles that I bought? Here they are. I'm just crumbling those up on top of my cucumber salad. I really like feta cheese, especially when it's served with a dish like this. So I put a healthy amount on there. You might want to cut back, but if you haven't tried feta cheese, I definitely recommend trying it this way. There is our baked chicken breast. I just sliced it up and put it on the plate. Like I said before, I only ate half in the sitting, but it looked pretty on the plate, so I showed you the whole thing. The chicken itself had such a fresh flavor. The seasonings are light, but they're also very rich in flavor. And of course, when you add in the sauce that we made, it gives it just another layer of rich, yogurty, creamy deliciousness. It's hard to explain, but when you try it for yourself, you'll know what I mean. And the salad is super refreshing, nice and chilled. The feta cheese was very creamy. You just can't go wrong with any part of this. Next up, we have our spiced turkey with sweet potato fries for dinner. I personally love sweet potato fries. I make them pretty often, and I was very happy to get the chance to incorporate them into this meal to share with y'all as well. I'm starting off by chopping this very large and stubborn sweet potato in half. These knives are my Christmas knives that are brand new and sharp, and it looks like I'm struggling so hard with the world's dullest knife here, but I promise you it's not the knife. It is the sweet potato that was so stubborn and rock hard. Here I'm showing you about the size of the wedges that I cut. I cut my sweet potato wedges a little bit thicker than I want my fries to be, because they are going to shrink up in the oven, so keep that in mind. Then I'm just laying them out on a tray, or a baking sheet rather, spreading them apart. I want one layer so they all will crisp up really nicely, and I made sure to fill up the tray. This is actually only a half a sweet potato. I got 2 servings of fries out of this as well. And over top of that, I'm drizzling just a little bit of olive oil, and I will toss these around later to make sure they're all coated, but this is how I start them off, and then they're heading to the oven. And now let's get our turkey breast started. So I'm laying that down in a hot pan. I've got some olive oil in there. Similar to the steaks that I made in my low carb meals video, if you watched that, I am giving the turkey time to brown on one side before I flip it over. And I'm going to be basting this turkey a lot. Turkey, as we know, is a very lean meat. It's very delicate, and it will dry out very quickly if you give it the option. So do not let that happen. Be sure to baste it. Add more oil if you need to. You can also add butter. You can use chicken stock if you wanted to, whatever you have on hand to make sure this bird does not come out dry. Here are my fries. They were about halfway done cooking here, so I am flipping them over and still trying to keep them in one layer. You'll see they're starting to caramelize, especially this one right here was looking so good, and that's some really good flavor for us. Back to Mr. Turkey here. I'm making sure to brown all sides of him. This helps to lock in moisture as well. Again, just another step to make sure your turkey doesn't come out dry. When it was almost done, I went in with my seasonings. Y'all know I like to season at the end of my cooking. So I'm doing very simple seasonings here. Salt, pepper, smoked paprika. That's it. Although I did add a very healthy amount of smoked paprika to give it a very nice, smoky, barbecue-y flavor. I think that goes really well with turkey. Because I'm actually not a fan of turkey in general, but I do like it cooked with these spices. And I'm drizzling the oil on top and making kind of a sauce here that I'm spreading all over the turkey. And I did flip it and do that on the other side as well. Here are my fries fresh out of the oven, being seasoned with salt, pepper, cayenne, and a little shake of paprika, again for some color. and I just shake those up and then they're all coated and good to go. Now it's time to serve. So there is my portion of my turkey breast. On the side, I'm serving up some Brussels sprouts, which I did not film because I thought I had already filmed this on my channel. Apparently I didn't. So again, I'll leave a recipe down below for how I make those. And then I'm adding on a very healthy amount of delicious sweet potato fries. And of course I had to go in for a taste test. This turkey was so moist and delicious. It had that wonderful seasoning on the outside, and it paired so well with the Brussels sprouts, which I seasoned just with salt and pepper because I love Brussels sprout flavor. That may be contradictory or controversial, but trust me guys, they are delicious the way I cook them. And then I've got my sweet potato fry here, which was nice and crispy on the outside and so soft on the inside. A little bit of heat from the cayenne I put on there, the sweetness from those fries with the savory turkey and the salty peppery Brussels sprouts. It's a wonderful combination. And then for dessert, I decided to treat myself to my miniature M&Ms that I got for free. I put them in this little dish just for fun, and then I ate them, and they were delicious. I highly enjoyed them. And that is the end of this budget challenge. I hope y'all enjoyed. I was super happy with how this one came out. I loved the recipes, and I will definitely be making these again. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye guys!